Be me. Woman in my late 30s. Culture and learning lead at a fast-growing software company. Office plants have names. My presentation clicker also has a name. I call it agency, because it helps me move the room. Early years were fire. Brown bag talks on gender and work. Standing room only. Questions flying like paper planes. The product team argued. The sales team argued louder. The security engineer argued quietly, but with terrifying footnotes. I left rooms buzzing. I slept like a champion of progress. This year starts different. Same slides, same voice, same blazer with the sharp shoulders. I open with, masculinity is not a sickness, but it has symptoms. Usually that wakes the whole building. Today chairs creak, keyboards whisper. One guy watches the reflection of the ceiling in his water bottle. No one bites. I wait. I ask for examples. I get the sound of ventilation. Tell myself it is just Monday. Come back Wednesday with a provocation. The way technical ladders were designed for one kind of life. Still quiet. Someone coughs in the hallway. My joke about mandatory empathy falls and breaks. Decide to be approachable. Open door hours. Sign on the glass with a smiley face that I regret immediately. Plate of store-bought cookies that I plate like I baked them. First visitor asks if I can approve a budget for a team hoodie. Second visitor returns my marker. Third visitor is a junior analyst named Mira. Mira slips a form across my desk like it is contraband. I ask a question I should not. What is going on with the men in the room? Why the quiet? She twists her hair tie and looks at the door, says softly, "They think your sessions are a test you cannot pass." Laugh, but it sounds like a squeak toy. A test. She nods once. They think if they speak and you do not like the angle, it becomes an issue with human resources. My smile freezes like an app with a spinning wheel. I say, that is not what happened with David last year. She gives the smallest shrug. That is not how it looked in the kitchen. After she leaves, the room grows 2 sizes too big. My calendar reminders look like tiny flags on a battlefield I cannot find. I open old folders, lunch talk transcripts with real pushback, comments that felt like sparks. I remember the thrill of catching a point and flipping it, like a fish that wanted to be a bird. Decide to build a container for disagreement. Announce an open forum. No penalties for dissent. 5 minutes each. Bring receipts. I make a poster with a microphone icon. I put it near the espresso machine. People look, people pass. One sign up by the deadline. A quiet back-end engineer named Aaron. Never speaks in big meetings. Merges code like a ghost. Always says thanks for the notes, even when the notes are unkind. Day of the forum. More bodies than usual. Word got around that something might actually happen. Someone from design has popcorn in a paper cup. I begin with my good teacher voice. We are here for real discourse. I want challenge. I will count it as engagement. I call Aaron. He walks up with a small notebook. No slides, no laptop, no armor. He thanks me with sincere eyes that make me uneasy. He says he wants to talk about choice, not the kind in a motivational poster, the kind that actually costs something. Says men and women are different in some ways, and it is okay to admit that without calling anyone broken. Says some men want to carry and build, some women want to raise and guide, and it is not oppression if it is chosen without shame. He talks like a seatbelt click. Simple. Sure. He says he does not accept that masculinity is toxic by default. He says if a woman leads, he will follow her if she is good. If a man leads, he will follow him if he is good. He says the problem is the label machine. The room hums. Even the people who dislike him are listening. I clear my throat, shape the rebuttal in my head like a blade. Open forum means let him walk into it. He flips a page. He holds up a printed screenshot from my earlier workshop. A slide with my sentence. Debating feminism is like debating gravity. Only people who want to fall try it. I remember the laugh it used to get. It gets nothing now. He says, maybe that line closed the door before it opened. He says, a closed door makes brave people look for other exits. I call it a metaphor. He agrees with a small nod. Says metaphors can also be rules when they come from the person holding the microphone. People in the back sit up. My heartbeat adjusts the room lighting. I go on offense. Ask if he thinks tradition is goodness, because it survived. He says survival is not goodness. He says you keep the part that holds and replace the part that cuts. He says shame is a bad tool for building anything. Someone says, wow, in a way that is not for me. Applause. Happens. It is not thunder. It is rain on a metal roof. You cannot argue with rain. I thank him with a smile that shows every tooth. He sits. I ask if anyone else wants the mic. Hands stay in their pockets. I close the session early. I pretend it was the plan. The clip appears online before I get to my desk. The title says he stayed calm, and that was enough. I watch my face in the pause frame. It is a face that wants the world to sit still for one more second. I grade his quarterly growth plan later that week. It is fine, measured, modest. I mark it down for lack of inclusive framing. I write a sentence about failure to connect the work to social impact. I give him a barely passing score. I tell myself I am modeling standards. I press submit. I hear a door close somewhere in the building, even though I am at home. The next days get strange. 2 engineers leave the Volunteer Equity Council quietly. 1 product manager declines a speaking invite without a reason. Someone puts a sticky note on the forum poster that says, "Please do not grade my conscience." The sticky note looks small and radioactive. By Friday, my calendar has a meeting with the head of people operations. She offers tea. She calls me excellent. She says the senior team wants to avoid polarization fatigue. She says we will sunset the Open Forum series. She says I will move to special projects with less visibility. She says the phrase season of listening out loud. I nod like a bobblehead of myself. I walk the long hallway and feel like a visitor in my own exhibit. The mural of our company values stares down at me like a jury. Focus on outcomes. Argue in good faith. Do not turn disagreement into exile. Wonder who wrote that last one. Later at a quiet bar, the legal director meets me, an old friend who respects sharp edges. He orders something brown that smells like decisions. I tell him the whole story in small pieces. He listens the way a hiker listens for water. When I finish, he asks a question that lands with a thud. Do you want truth or comfort? I say truth because I always choose the hard thing, then go home and cry. He says I used to teach ideas. He says I started teaching conclusions. He says I loved winning more than I loved learning. I take a breath that does not fit in my lungs. I tell him winning is how you do not drown. He says you cannot rescue anyone from a river by insulting the current. Silence sits with us like a third person. Somewhere behind us, a game cheers without us. I look at my hands and think about all the times I said, safe space, brave space. Neither word built a bridge if I already locked the far side gate. The following week, the company announces a series called Choose Your Tools for Argument. It is led by the security engineer with the terrifying footnotes. They invite Aaron to co-host an episode about disagreeing without humiliation. My name appears on the announcement as a contributor. It is a generous lie, soaked in honey. In the kitchen I hear two designers practice saying, I might be wrong. It sounds beautiful and devastating. I try to start again in smaller rooms. I rename my clicker, Listening. It refuses to work for a whole day, and I take it as a sign. I run a workshop called Questions First. 3 people attend. We sit in a circle and do not perform. We ask things and let the sky keep its answers for a while. It is quiet, but not empty. It feels like sweeping a floor before anyone steps on it. I bump into Aaron by the elevators. He says hello with no victory in his face. He thanks me for the forum. He says the clip made his family proud. He says he wishes the part where I thanked him was not cut out. I say me too. He says, I am not your enemy. I say, I know. He steps into the elevator. The doors close gently like a boundary that is actually kind. I go back to my desk and open last year's decks. Remove 5 jokes that were really shields. Remove 2 lines that were really locks. I keep the stories where women built things with their hands and men cried when it mattered. I keep the parts where I was brave for real and not just loud. Next town hall, the room is smaller. The plants look like they believe in something I cannot see yet. I begin with a different sentence. I do not know everything, and it is exhausting pretending I do. A laugh that is not cruel rolls across the chairs. I ask a question and wait. A woman from finance answers in a voice that shakes, but does not break. A man from support answers after her and asks for correction, where he might be clumsy. Nobody tries to win. We do work instead. Weeks pass. The clip fades under new clips of dogs doing taxes or clouds that look like islands. My calendar grows a spine again. I walk slower in the hall and stop talking like I am always in the final round of a debate. Show. End of quarter arrives with review season. I open the form for Aaron. I write about his code. I write about his patience in code reviews. I write about how he disagrees with care. I do not mention me. I do not mention the forum. I do not mention the day I tried to tip a scale with a thumb and called it justice. Final all hands of the year. The chief executive reads a message about what leadership means. He says leadership without listening is just performance. I stare at the stage and feel my face warm, not with shame exactly, with awareness, with the very old feeling of stepping into cold water and letting it tell you the truth about your body. After everyone leaves, I linger. The cleaning crew jokes about chairs like they are heavy animals. I return my microphone to the drawer. It sits next to a pack of sticky notes. I write one and leave it on the inside of the drawer where only I will see it. Do not turn disagreement into exile. On my way out, I pass the values wall again. I place my palm on the word argue. It feels solid. It feels large enough to stand on without pushing anyone else off. I go home without composing a speech in my head. I pour tea that tastes like plants and weather. I sit in quiet. That is not a verdict. I think about feminism without armor. I think about men and women and everyone in between as builders with different hammers. I picture a workshop with 2 tool racks and 1 shared bench. I picture sawdust that smells like something we both made. I fall asleep before the kettle cools. Morning comes. Calendar says listening session at 9. I hold the door open and watch people walk in. They look like a beginning instead of a threat. I start with a question that is not a trap. The room answers in sentences that do not need a referee. My clicker named Listening blinks like a small lighthouse. We do not crash this time. We just learn where the rocks are. Nobody claps. Nobody posts. Nobody wins. It feels like progress.